For many years, I was part of a 12-step fellowship, and this is not to criticize 12 steps. It just doesn't work for me for many reasons, to which I don't want to or need to go into, because I understand why it doesn't work for me. So basically, I have had to find my own path and my own spiritual path, practices, and belief systems, basically. I don't have a problem with anything that anyone in 12-step fellowship believes, but frequently I find that they have a problem with what I believe, and I feel that for having those beliefs, I'm labeled as being sick. And even if I find someone who is open-minded enough to understand that I have my own path, there's not any that, like, it's respectful, and they tell me, okay, yeah, it's fine that you see it differently, but then the conversation ends either by them or by me, because there's no back and forward conversation that can exist, because they're like, they don't want to take an interest in anything that exists outside of that bubble. And there are many reasons for that. But I was watching a video by Bashar yesterday, and it was talking about how if something bad happens in your life, right, your perception of that determines the outcome. So if you believe that there's a good reason for that happening, then you will get a good outcome, right? And if I take that philosophy and I fit it into what is the blueprint of what exists in my brain, that still exists in my brain, for the modality of the 12 steps, then here's how I understand it. People that are newcomers in the fellowship, they are most often told that the chaos that exists in their life is there because they're not working the 12 steps, and they're labeled as being sick, right? But I have met over the years plenty of people that are many years sober, that have chaos in their life that's not necessarily their fault, that's like maybe family members that they've had to set boundaries with and distance themselves with, or they have all kinds of like really big problems that come up in their life that are difficult for anyone to deal with, never mind clean and sober, right? But they don't get called sick, right? So what's the difference, right? What it comes down to, the crux of it really, if I take the video that I watched yesterday about your perception of something, it's not about that one person is sick and one person is not. Like, you could phrase it that way, but it's a very crude way of phrasing it. It's quite mean to say that. It's quite judgmental to say, oh, that person's sick. And I have been living with a genuinely sick person. My husband is very depressed, and he adopts a negative belief system and mindset that does not help him. And the thing about that is that it has not been helping him for many years. And I try and offer all kinds of advice. I try and give him extremely compassionate responses. I try and validate his feelings. But he is just point blank not open to any sort of advice about changing that. Or he's not in any way aware that that mindset is causing him massive problems in his life. Massive problems. Because the thing about it is you can't change anything outside of you. You can only change yourself. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know that one is me. So having the polarity of that in my life has taught me that I can change my belief systems, right? Having to constantly live with a person with negative belief systems, even if they are valid, and watching him drown in that has taught me that I can adopt a positive belief system and I can find a way out of my problems by doing so. So he's my teacher. He exists in my reality so that I can find my way towards changing the way that I see things and being more positive. And by being more positive, I can change my life. So, to use 12-step language, what is the difference between someone who's working a 12-step program, years sober or months sober, regardless, because anyone can become sick? What's the difference between someone who's working a 12-step program and not working a 12-step program? The person that is labeled as sick, they have a negative belief system. They have adopted a negative belief system. Whereas the person working the 12-step program has faith that things are going to work out. They believe that they live in a benevolent universe. They don't adopt the perspective that there is like an all judgmental, condemning God that is out to deliberately cause chaos in their life. They have faith that that happened for a reason, or that it's part of their story, or that something good will come to them. That's the difference, right? But you can listen to a Bashar video and hear that. Do you know what I mean? There are different ways of saying something. And sometimes people need to hear, and the same message can be conveyed through lots of different sources. And sometimes someone just needs to hear it from a different place. And it means exactly the same thing.